Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah. They have less fuel, so they should go first. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Now we'll go back. Okay. Okay. Thanks. Hold on. Yes, the most recent thing that I can tell you is that they have identified someone. We're not going to put the person's name out on the air at this time because we want to get it corroborated. But they have identified the person of interest who is a student who was in class today earlier, and they're trying to make contact now. They have his home address. They know where he works. And they're putting together all this information now as they continue to go through classroom after classroom of this three-story standalone building here on the north side of the property at Marjory Stoneman Douglas. We now have our third SWAT vehicle that has arrived out here on the scene. We watched as those interviews were being conducted earlier, and the reporters were reporting there that we saw at least 100 students, some 100 students come out of that building with their arms raised under police escort and are now in safe haven off the property. There are school buses that hold on one second. There are school buses that are just off the property. Students are being assigned to certain buses, and everyone is going to be checked before anybody leaves the premises. As far as this investigation goes, to get any more amplifying information as to exactly where this person of interest may be, whether he's still on the property or whether he was able to get outside of the school property before the perimeter was set up here. So again, the school on lockdown, at least 20 people injured. We know that at least one person was shot. We haven't gotten any other confirmations. Broward County put out a mass casualty incident, a level 3. A level 3 means that there are at least 20 to 22, I believe, people injured. They have notified all the area hospitals all around in this area and down a little bit down to the south and actually up into West Palm, finding out who has beds available and who can take patients and treat patients so that it's done very quickly and efficiently. So that's the latest information we have for you. We're going to go off mic here for a couple of minutes and then we'll get back with you again. Okay. Okay. I'm with you. Shake it? Oh, yeah. Hey, JC, I'm back with you. I could talk. All right. Okay. Hey, guys, can you hear me? Sure thing. Okay. Hey, guys, just a couple of minutes ago, one of the commanders said that they had building 800, which is adjacent to that three-story building. They said they had secured a room where there were 40 students, and they were going to be evacuating those students. They gave them the go ahead to do that, and you see right now, as organized as it can be under these frightening circumstances, we're having an evacuation here of that building again, building 800.
Going to Walmart. They should be letting you, because I think this is where the media is supposed to be. Because I'm standing next to Seven's truck. There's no real access to this part. It's in the Starbucks kind of area. But I've already got a signal via the step. The only thing I could say is go across where the Walmart is. I mean, the Publix.
This guy's running. The gun.
Sorry, I'm doing two things at once.
I saw FBI too.
Huh?
I saw FBI already too.
I have no idea where
That's
I'm
what I was
going,
getting.
to be honest. Yeah, I know. Go across where the Publix is, where that shell is. That's the only thing I can say right now. Okay. Well, I'm off of the Holmberg Street in front of you, about half a block down. All right. All right, no problem. Bye-bye.
drill got pulled, the fire alarm got pulled, and kids were evacuating. I heard 5 pops. And I was like, that's not a drill. I was like, and we never did a drill like that. And when we started evacuating towards the back of West Place, towards the middle school, I knew that it was more than a drill because we've never done that. I graduated. I came back to visit one of my teachers.
So you were just in the worst possible place at the worst possible time.
Basically.
And so you knew this was not a drill, and what happened around you? Describe to me the students.
Kids were freaking out. Some kids froze. Some kids were on their phones. A lot of were on their phones just trying to Snapchat everything because they thought it was a joke and it wasn't. There's kids freaking out, students freaking out, teachers. It sucked. So.
The worst chaotic scene I can imagine that you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And so did you hear the noises as well? What did you hear?
It was the same as she described. We had a fire drill this morning, and then at the end of the class, like it was around 2:35, we had another drill, or we had the fire alarm. And as we were getting ready to evacuate, somebody up in the door said that teachers and students had to evacuate. And I guess that's when I knew something serious was happening. I didn't know if it was a fire or something else. But then after that, we got outside, and we heard the pops and pieces. I knew it was something more than that. Everybody was texting and whatnot, but I think it's more to like keep in contact with everybody. And I don't know if
What building was this happening in? How close were you, the proximity to that building?
we heard the pops and we were in the building towards the back of the school, close to the tennis court. And
There could be a possibility that this could be an ex-student, a former student. What are your thoughts?
This is just hearsay, but we heard that it was a current student.
A current student?
Yeah, or somebody that was there and just decided to do this. It's crazy.
Are you just completely shocked this is happening at your school, in your town?
You hear about this all the time, but we never expect it to happen right here in your neighborhood. Everybody knows around here is a safe place, and we don't expect this to happen here, but when that happens, you're just taken aback.
Parkland is known as one of the safest communities in South Florida, and people out here, parents out here, coming out here, just unaware that what was happening, but shocked at what was happening in their town. Let's take a look at the live presence. We've got them. We've got 8 police officers. I just saw the FBI out here as well.
I just told Miguel, yeah.
Medical exam.
Yeah.
The microphone's here, and then we'll do it over here.
Hey, what's the phone number for the number 4? I'm on 4, right?
Yeah, HQ4. Living a night in my neighborhood. I'm asking if teaching a counteractive counter-terrorist course in Georgia and my
2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Yes, I got it. Well, and I just want to pick up on what you were talking about, Elliot, just a minute ago. And I've been talking to the students who evacuated the school, and they said that there was a fire drill this morning. So when they heard it go off again, the first thought was it was a second fire drill. Well, then when they came out, they saw helicopters swirling. They have me. They're just... How long? I don't know. They have me. They're going to tell me when they're going to go to me. Here we go. I'm going to step aside.
Okay, we're next. Brandon's on now. Huh? Yes, hold on. Thank you.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay? So we are behind the school, and this is the area basically where a lot of the students were evacuating to. There's a parking lot, and behind me
County. He's being briefed. He and the president, we understand, are in contact. They're also in contact with state law enforcement as well as federal law enforcement. You're looking again at video from just a short time ago of officers surrounding Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School, as well as SWAT officers and canine officers, as we're working to confirm whether they do have someone detained and if that person is indeed the shooter.
And according to Jeff, at least some officers are headed to a location, and apparently Sky 10 is at this location where someone has been detained, but they need witnesses to confirm that this is the person who may have shot into the school or may have been a part of the shooting in some sort of way. And again, I think you bring up a very important point too, Janine, just a few minutes ago. You said, did the person act alone, or did the person have help?
I think there are so many unanswered questions at this point. They don't want to take any chances. Where is this location right now? Where is this in relation to the school? Control room, do you guys know? We're still waiting to find out where exactly this is, but this is a location outside of the school where you can see police are on scene. And again, getting those reports that they are
apparently Wyndham
have somebody detained.
Lakes, Janine, Wyndham Lakes.
Coral
that is
Springs,
the
Wyndham Lakes, yeah.
Coral Springs, Wyndham Lakes. And we're also being told that a witness is being taken to ID the suspect at Wyndham Lake Army. Or actually at Wyndham Lake Community, rather, excuse me. And we do have 2 crews on the way right there. So this is the area there in this residential area where this witness is being taken to ID a suspected alleged gunman.
You know, what's so interesting about this too is Parkland is really sort of a sleepy community. I mean, this is not an area where there are lots of people, and so for this shooting to happen, and of all places, Parkland, I think that's what makes it so outstanding in that way. But right now, what you're looking at, if you're just tuning in, this is the scene very near Coral Springs, Wyndham Lakes, some sort of community in Coral Springs where Police have apparently detained the person who may have been involved in the shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School this afternoon.
And if you are watching with us at home and trying to glean any information about your children, do know we are still putting on our screen that the shooter is at large, but we are learning from a city commissioner that a suspect is in custody, and we are hearing these reports that witnesses are being taken to ID him. We just want to be really cautious right now. You see the crime scene tape has gone up in this neighborhood. Possibly this is where the suspect lives.
Southwest of the school, Lori. It is southwest of the school. It's
right,
a residential neighborhood. You see police tape up. There is some intelligence, you can say, that a suspect may been identified by other students as the person who may have been the trigger person and a fellow student. And that is where police are, in a subdivision southwest of the school. Wyndham Lakes, I believe, Calvin had said. I believe that is correct. And that is where police are focusing now. So you have this active scene as well as the school as well. We do know, again, somebody's been detained but not necessarily arrested at this point. This is a very active situation.
And again, if you are a parent and you're watching this right now, Coral Springs Police, again, they are urging everyone to stay calm, to try to be in touch with your student via text message, because that's the quietest way possible, that some students and teachers are still inside their classrooms. And slowly, as we have seen, police have been clearing those classrooms and getting those kids out safely. I'm still waiting for an update on that message that I received about a teacher who's trying to keep her kids calm. They're inside their classroom. They're waiting to be cleared by police, and they're trying to stay as quiet as possible in this situation.
And the address on this location you're looking at right now is the 11,000 block of Northwest 47th Drive, 11735. 47th Drive in Coral Springs, southwest of Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School, the place of that shooting this afternoon. And we do understand that the president has apparently already spoke with Governor Rick Scott about the shooting, and Governor Scott on his way to the scene of that shooting in Parkland.
And Coral Springs Mayor Skip Campbell is telling us that he was told of multiple fatalities, but he does not know the exact number. He said we are clear to report that, so he feels very confident as he heads to the scene right now, the mayor, there are multiple fatalities.
Okay, so we were at some point hearing reports of a possible shooter in a burgundy shirt.
In a burgundy shirt, and there is a person with a burgundy shirt being put into the back of that patrol car.
BSO working very quickly on this scene, and they have had SWAT members all over. This is a scene just southwest of the school. Again, 11735 Northwest 47th Drive, an area to avoid tonight. They have the crime scene tape up. This is Coral Springs. Coral Springs and Parkland are very close together. I mean, this is all pretty much one area out there, and a very quiet, rural area where people do not expect to deal with this.
And this person being put into the back of this patrol car certainly matches the description of the possible gunman at Stoneman Douglas High School. For now, while we watch this scene develop, let's go to Ross Palumbo live now in Washington, D.C. with the very latest on what the president has tweeted out and how he has responded directly to this. Ross?
Well, Calvin and Lori, the president finally responding directly, sending out a tweet just a few minutes ago saying, "My prayers and condolences to the families of the victims of the terrible Florida shooting. No child, teacher, or anyone else should ever feel unsafe in an American school." We do know that the president has been in constant communication with the governor of Florida, who you've been reporting is on his way right now to Broward. And we do know that the staff here has already reached out to local authorities like the Broward Sheriff's Office to see what assistance they need. We do know that the FBI is also on scene to do anything and everything necessary at this time. But Lori and Calvin, I have to tell you, I did briefly run into the press secretary, Sarah Sanders, and the deputy principal press secretary, Raj Shah, and they really had not a single word to offer about this tragedy. In fact,
Ross,
they ran
we're actually
into
going to
Raj.
interrupt you just for a second because we have a bit of breaking news.
Yeah, Sheriff Scott Israel texting with me to confirm that the suspect is in custody. No doubt this is exactly who you were looking at right now. So we want to make sure, just as the city commissioner told us, Dan Daly, this is the suspect in custody. He is being taken to be identified positively by a witness to this grim scene at Stoneman Douglas High, which developed just before the 3 o'clock hour today at the end of the school day.
And these are live pictures unfolding right now. This is a scene just southwest of the school, and you can see that person in a burgundy shirt. You can see police are surrounding him. It doesn't look like he's going down with any kind of fight. but we're still waiting to find out who this person is, if this is possibly a student at the high school. We still don't know that yet.
No, he certainly looks like a young person, but we just have no way of knowing yet what his tie is to the school. This sent out such a domino effect. Even the Nova school system was putting itself on lockdown. I mean, that's how nervous people were about this situation, and reports of some kind of talking of a bomb in the school last night. So this was something that we are going to find was really spiraling on social media a bit last night. At least there were inklings of something bad that might occur today.
And then I think you have the question, too, is did the person act alone? I mean, did this individual have help? Did he act alone? Did he have help on the inside, on the outside? Where was he shooting? Was he shooting from the outside in? Was he shooting from the inside out? And for police, that creates such an incredible situation for them to try to clear every room and to try to go looking for every possible scenario that could happen
especially in
inside
a
the
school
school.
of
In
this
a school,
size.
this is a large school. So did the person act alone? And even though the person may have, this individual who is being put into the back of this vehicle, it may have gone on YouTube or social media to announce that he in fact was going to do this, why didn't somebody say something? You know, these are some of the questions that police will be
Until
asking.
they heard a fire alarm pulled today, and students are reporting anywhere from 2, 3 to 5 shots that they heard, and so many of them just ran. We do know that most of them are telling us it appeared to come from the freshman building, and it does appear that the shootings happened inside, but that is all we can glean right now from this initial information.
All of it happened inside. All of it happened right at the close of the school day. So teachers and students and administrators, they were all still there. We saw the parking lot. It was full. And so now police, I think, are continuing to clear those rooms to try to get those kids and the teachers who may still be inside waiting to hear word that the shooter is in fact in custody.
And there was talk of mass casualties when this initially happened, but as we heard from the commissioner from Coral Springs, Dan Daly, there was only one confirmed death, and the age of this person, this victim, we do not know at this time.
No, the mayor saying he knows of multiple fatalities, and it is okay to report that, so that is very hard to hear, whereas the city commissioner telling us
Just
confirmed
one.
fatality, numerous injuries. And as Jeff Weinstein was telling us earlier, it sounds like a lot of students injured were taken and rushed out to a certain area very early on in this.
Well, I think we actually saw some of that video. It looked like they set up a triage area so that they could treat students and possibly teachers right there. And again, you're looking at live pictures. This is still that neighborhood just southwest of the school where we saw a young person in a burgundy shirt who matched the description of the shooter, who's now in a police car, and he has a lot of questions that he's going to have to answer.
You're looking live at 47th Drive Northwest and 11735 Northwest 47th Drive. So if that is anywhere near you, just know, please avoid this area. Those are some undercover officer cars, police cars to your right. You can see the blaring sirens there. But this was a mass effort to find this shooter, and it really only took them less than an hour to track him down.
And we are now just a couple of minutes past the top of the hour, so it may be important for us to sort of recap if people who are just joining us, maybe getting off work, may have just picked up their own children. But the shooting happened this afternoon at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. This is why the SWAT team is out there right now, to the right of your screen, and to the left of your screen, 11735 47th Drive in Parkland, in Coral Springs, just southwest of the high school, where we believe a suspect who was wearing a burgundy shirt, matches the description of the suspect who was involved in this school shooting, was put into the back of that patrol car by BSO. And we also got confirmation, too, from Sheriff Scott Israel.
And from the city commissioner as well. And we are waiting for Scott Israel, the Broward County Sheriff, to confirm for us exactly how many injuries and fatalities we are dealing with in this horrific incident. It was just about 2:40 this afternoon when these students report hearing gunshots, at least a couple of them quickly and then a couple more. A fire alarm was pulled, and so many children were able to just run, but so many others are still, at this hour, locked down in their classrooms, and that is where Coral Springs police want them to stay until they are completely cleared, room by room.
Investigators are going room by room, trying to clear everything, and we also heard from BSO, too, that if you are able to, parents, if you're able to contact your child, make sure they stay barricaded and stay calm wherever they are until the situation is cleared.
Carlos Suarez is right there live for us, as he has been for most of the past hour now. Carlos, we're looking at live pictures where the suspect is in a police car. We saw the burgundy shirt. We knew they were looking for. What else are you learning?
Well, right now, two pieces of information to pass along to you. I was able to get a hold of the governor's office. I'm being told that they are still trying to figure out his itinerary for the rest of the afternoon. I'm told that he will make his way at some point to this part of Broward County. However, it's unclear whether or not he's going to fly into Fort Lauderdale Hollywood Executive Airport or where exactly he's going to ultimately make that route. The second piece of information out here is deputies here on the scene are telling parents that the kids will be bused to a park off of Wiles Road where we are right now. That is about a 5-minute walk from where the high school is, and we're told that is where these students will be taken to once they're able to safely get them out of the classroom. The number of people about here have remained the same, if not a larger crowd than when we first got here. A lot of folks have been able to get a hold of their kids. A lot of them are still in the classroom. We had an emotional interview earlier in the afternoon where a woman talked about not being able to get a hold of her granddaughter. We're told that she was finally able to get a text message in, and that her granddaughter told her that she, in fact, was on lockdown in a classroom. It does seem that a lot of folks that were able to get a hold of their children, they were told that they could talk briefly, just that they were safe, and that they were being told by teachers to please limit their conversations and text messages on the way out. 2 air rescue helicopters have landed at a park just to the south of where we are right now. I'm told that those 2 helicopters were only brought in should they need to be used or not. However, we have not seen any of the injured students being brought south of where the school is at. I'm told that there's a good reason for that. What they're trying to do is basically have parents all congregate in one part of town. They don't want folks trying to get any closer to the high school. Another piece of information from the last time we joined you, we have seen a second team of FBI agents make their way to the school. That brings the total number of FBI agents that we have seen since we got here earlier this afternoon to at least 2 teams of at least 6 agents. They got off an SUV, they asked where this command center is being set up, and they were directed further north. It does seem that there is a bit of calm, and that word has gotten out that apparently they have made an arrest and that the injured have already been accounted for. The concern for parents is obviously those that have not been able to get a hold of their kids. They're still waiting to hear on when they will be able to eventually be reunited with them. A lot of parents, you talk to them and they get the sense that this is where they want to be. Every couple of minutes, the sheriff's office will come over and say, guys, we need you to head over to that park on Wiles Road, because that's where these kids will be taken to once the all clear is given and they're allowed to leave the school. We saw 2 Broward County transit buses, the ones, the big buses that people take on the county lines with air conditioning. Those 2 buses also made their way north to the school from this location. We are just near the University Drive exit and the Sawgrass Parkway Expressway where folks are congregating, but they are being told, if you're listening to this at home on the radio or if you're watching our coverage on TV or online, try to make your way to this park off of Wiles Road. It may be some time before these students are allowed to leave the classroom. They're accounted for here at the school, and then they are put on one of these buses, and then they make their way south of here, where we're told they will be reunited with their kids. Let's see if possibly, do you have a child that goes to the school?
No.
No, you don't? Okay, just trying to make sure.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Sir, have you been able to get a hold of your daughter or son?
Yeah.
Where are they?
She's still inside. She's outside but being protected. So I guess the SWAT's protecting her right now.
What grade is she in?
She's in 10th grade.
10th grade. What did she tell you?
She said everything's okay. She said she got shoved into a closet and there she'll sit, and then they took her outside.
I see you keep looking at your phone. Are you waiting to hear from her? What has she been able to tell you?
Yeah, she sent me
right
a
now?
photo of herself, which was pretty good. So she sent me a photo, and she said they're taking them over to the Heron Bay Marriott for pickup. I heard Betty Stradling Park,
that's what we heard as well.
But I think it's going to be the Marriott. At least that's what she said, but she's not on the bus yet. But she sent me a picture, and she's okay.
Did you get wind of this before you heard from her?
I was actually on a call with work, and my phone was kind of blowing up from my wife. And I got off, called her back, and I saw the text messages. So I went and parked at the elementary school. My wife's at the elementary school, and they're on lockdown as well, code red. So she was a student conference, and so they're stuck in there right now, hopefully being protected.
Was she able to tell you, did she hear anything, see anything? She just get shoved in the classroom?
She said some of her friends saw something, but I don't, I'm not going to say anything about that.
As a parent, how much of a sigh of relief was it when you at least were able to get that?
It was pretty good. It was a little emotional in the beginning, but I think it was a good set of emotions running through my head, because you don't know what to expect as I was walking up here. And I was comforted a mother over here who has 4 sons going here. She heard from 3 of them, and the 4th one she hadn't heard from yet. And she was very upset, so I was comforting her for a while, and it sounds like that he's okay, and she's going to meet him.
So your daughter's telling you that they're taking her where to?
Heron Bay Marriott.
Okay, so that's the second location that we've heard.
Okay, good.
Because they also told us about the park a little bit.
Yeah, so that's what I heard, so I was going to head over that way, but she just told me to meet her at the Marriott.
Did she tell you an estimated time when you think they were going to allow her to leave, or is she being accounted for? What's she telling you now?
She hasn't responded yet.
Okay, so the last thing she told you, she's okay?
Yep, she's fine. She's fine. She sent me a photo of the SWAT team protecting them.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time.
Good day.
Calvin and Lori, I'm going to go ahead and send things back over to you.
Okay, Carlos, thanks a lot. And as we have been reporting that at least one person has been killed, and apparently on the right of your screen, Lori, this American nightmare has unfolded at this North Broward High School, and it looks as if, based on this video, this may be one victim.
This is the first video we're getting from inside a classroom. We have no way to know if it was a student or a teacher or an administrator who was shot, but we are told this is video of one fatality in a classroom there at Stoneman Douglas High School.
And again, this is video we are being very cautious about. This is only just a clip that we're going to show you right now. Obviously, it has been pixelized so that we do not show the person, because again, we do not know if this person is an adult or a teacher, and the next of kin has been notified. But again, one person we do know has been confirmed dead as a result of this school shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School.
You may have seen this video circulate online, and again, we're confirming with our own eyes that this is a fatality. We're still working to gather information on this. We also want to give you another piece of information about that person in the maroon shirt who was taken into custody. Sources are telling us that may not be the person who pulled the trigger, that may be a family member, somebody else that possibly is connected to this shooting. This is an area just southwest of the school where that person was taken into custody. So we're still gathering more details about that.
And on the left side of your screen, you're looking at Coral Springs Hospital, where we believe a victim is being transported. Let's just hope they are conscious and doing well, that they are tied to these machines here and being helped medically. Oh, goodness. We see them giving CPR right there to that person.
That's a good thing we cut away too, yeah.
Yeah, so that is the scene at Coral Springs Hospital. We have crews all over the area hospitals at Broward Health North as well. This is still live right now, so we believe it is a brother, from what we're being told, a brother of the suspect. And so he is being held in this police car right now as we are looking to learn anything more about the actual suspect, who we are told is in custody. That has been confirmed by the sheriff himself by text. He is telling us the suspect is in custody, and now these rooms at the school will be cleared one by one. A sibling, a brother, we believe, in the maroon shirt we were looking at before, he is being held also for questioning and possibly for a positive identification of his own brother.
Let's go to Christian De La Rosa now, who is live on the scene to give us some more information. Christian, what do you know out there?
Can you share with me just what you've heard so far so you can help other parents?
I would love to give an information, but I have no information. Okay. My son called me, and all I know is what I saw on the news.
Okay, what grade is he in, and what is his name?
He's a freshman.
He's a freshman. And how old is he?
He's 14. I'm going to try to cross, okay?
Christian, we have you live there. If we can come back to you for a moment. Christian, we are with you now. We see you there as we're looking also at the scene where a relative, we're told, of the suspect is in custody. What are you learning there on the scene? You are on the north side of the building?
We are actually northeast of the school. This is Holmberg Road and University Drive, kind of one of the perimeter corners where you can't really go any further. And a lot of parents, I'm going to show you across the street, parents have just been gathering frantically. A lot of parents showing up that still have not been able to get a hold of their sons and daughters. Actually, just moments ago, you might have seen me on camera speaking to a woman who just showed up trying to get a hold of her son. She says she hadn't heard from him just yet. We've also been seeing on social media students posting trying to let their loved ones know that they are okay, that they are waiting on police to escort them to safety out of the school. So we do know that a lot of parents here are still waiting for their students to be escorted to safety by police, telling us that their sons and daughters are still in the school. And I just want to show you the area. I mean, look at the congestion. I mean, it's traffic, very congested all the way around. So many parents trying to get here. You see this man right here. A lot of concern, a lot of parents just trying to find out if their sons and daughters are okay.
And right now you're looking on the left-hand side of the screen, Christian. I know you can't see it, but we're watching it. There is a young lady on a stretcher. She is upright, and it appears that she was actually texting. And so she was alert and probably telling her family what's going on. Yeah. Just an awful time right now for families in Broward County watching this and wondering what's happening. I just got a text message from someone who is reporting that they were in the school, and as they were evacuating with police, they saw two bodies covered.
Yeah, there seems to be some confusion, and understandably so, as parents are trying to connect with their sons and daughters. We are hearing that students are being escorted, then taken to different locations. We've heard of parks in the area where students are gathering. They're trying to let parents know where to find their children. So this is still a very fluid situation.
And Christian, speaking of that, not to cut you off, and Christian, and I do apologize not to cut you off, but Coral Springs Police just verified on their account, parents, please pick up your child once released from Douglas High School at North Heron Bay Marriott, south at Betty Stradling Park. Now, we heard this earlier coming from another source that this is a possibility. Carlos, I believe, was telling us about this, but to pick up your students once again, once they are released from Douglas High School, North Heron Bay Marriott, south at Betty Stradling Park. That's in Coral Springs. And
we want to clarify, when we saw the victim being given CPR there, it was so hard to watch. That is at Broward Health North. Yeah. That was not at Coral Springs Hospital. So that shooting victim has been taken to Broward Health North. We will hope for the best as they were receiving CPR, being rushed into the ER.
I'm looking online. The North Heron Bay Marriott is on Heron Bay Boulevard in Coral Springs, 11775 Heron Bay Boulevard. So if you're a parent and you've been in touch with your child, they'll likely tell you that that's where they're going, and that's the situation there. We're also looking live right now at this situation southwest of the school, where one person is inside that squad car as we speak, likely being questioned by police about what he knew, what he didn't know about the events that transpired today.
And it is possible that the gunman may have been apprehended at a nearby McDonald's there in Parkland or in Coral Springs. We're not quite sure which one yet, but we're working on trying to find out exactly where the suspect was actually arrested. But apparently the suspect has been taken into custody, but it may have happened at a nearby McDonald's. Once again, we're working on to find out information to confirm that. But you're looking right now at what we believe to be a relative of the suspected shooter at the school shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School this afternoon. And again, as we know at this point, only one confirmed death, but a number of injuries. As many as 20 people could have been injured as a result of the shooting that happened this afternoon.
There you see an ambulance, a fire rescue truck coming to that scene as well. So it's very curious what's going on at this scene. We will keep a close eye on it from Sky 10.
And also, as we've seen, Lori, throughout the day, there's been a triage area set up by the school in case there are any other injuries that don't require transport per se, but kids possibly getting hurt from shrapnel or from shards, and they're being treated on scene.
And another angle to this story that I think we cannot ignore, it is the fact that as a parent, and we heard Carlos and Christian talking with parents out there and how just distraught they were. But how do you explain this to a 13-year-old and a 14-year-old? What kind of conversation do you have over dinner tonight after this happens at a high school where, again, you never suspect anything like this would happen at any high school, but of all high schools, one of the best high schools in South Florida. So with that being said, I mean, this is this story takes on many different angles, but that's one that we cannot ignore as parents.
I think it also shows that violence doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter if it's a good school or not.
That's right.
It can happen anywhere. And you both know this. You have children who maybe at some point in their school days will go through an active shooter training situation.
Well, we hope not.
And it is an unfortunate reality and sign of the times. But what could possibly prepare you for horror like this?
And to see those kids with their hands up over, behind their heads, having to experience this, this will mark their lives forever. I know my own child was trying to call me while we were on the air, and I had to text him and say, I'm on breaking news. I can't talk right now. And as you say, Calvin, you hate the fact that you have to go home and have this conversation. Yeah. But thank God, most parents will be having a conversation about safety, not about the loss of life in their family. But that is what is so scary right now and so tenuous, because we don't know how many people have been killed, let alone critically injured. And we are all just kind of fearing that these numbers are going to rise. Apparently, some New York stations are reporting as many as 20 injured. Hard to know where they're getting that, but look at this suspect here. At least we believe this is the suspect's brother, but we are getting a lot of conflicting reports right now. This person needs to have medical care, and we are also getting reports that the actual suspect is at this scene there in Wyndham Lakes and that they need treatment. So it is hard to tell right now. It is such an active scene, breaking every moment. We just don't know yet if this is the actual shooting suspect or his brother, but somebody needs medical care here.
And what you're looking at right now, you're looking at sheriff's office members taking photographs, probably part of evidence to look at his potential injuries. It seems as though they questioned him, or at least they detained him inside of this squad car, and now they're going to put him on this stretcher and likely take him somewhere to be treated. Again, the only thing that we can confirm about this person is that he is somehow related to the shooting, but we don't know his exact relationship to the shooter. We just know that he is wanted for questioning, and right now he's being transported.
It is hard to piece this one together.
This is a story that's still developing, and on every possible front here. And we have reporters watching this situation in Parkland, Coral Springs, and all around both cities, just trying to figure out what's going on with police and what's happening with law enforcement right now. But again, a person who is in some way connected to the shooting is being transported, we believe, to a local hospital for reasons that we don't know at this point.
Again, if you're just joining us, all of this unfolding at about closing time today at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School. We've heard reports of a fire alarm going off and then multiple gunshots. And then the next thing you know, police and fire and SWAT surrounding the school and evacuating as many kids as they can. And then police officers going classroom to classroom, clearing these areas to get these kids to safety.
We are now getting word from the superintendent of schools. We've been waiting to hear any confirmation from him, and he has now spoken to us.
And apparently there are numerous fatalities as a result of the shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School this afternoon. This is something that obviously we dreaded hearing. We had heard that one person had been killed from the shooting, but apparently numerous fatalities, according to Robert Runcie, the superintendent of Broward County Schools.
Janice Fernandez is in the newsroom. Janice, did you hear anything more from Robert Runcie?
Yes, Lori, Calvin, and Janine, what we're hearing from the superintendent, like you mentioned, multiple fatalities, but he also mentioned that the shooter was a former student of the school. So those are just some of the information we are getting. This is from the superintendent. He spoke just a short time ago. So we're still working to learn a lot more about this suspect and the shooter, but he said that this shooter was a former student at the high school, and again saying that there were multiple fatalities. So as we're looking at these live pictures, of course we're looking on the right screen here, but what the superintendent is saying is that the shooter was a former student. Again, those multiple fatalities, and also important to mention, again, the parents, the staging area at that Marriott 11775 Heron Bay Boulevard, that is where parents can go to get more information, obviously reunite with their loved ones. But as we continue to go through what the superintendent Runcie had to say, the big picture here is he's saying multiple fatalities and that the shooter was a former student. And actually, I'm right on Twitter right now because I'm getting updates on social media. And the Broward Sheriff's Office actually just posted a tweet. This was 20 seconds ago. I'm just going to read it verbatim for you. It says, so far, we have at least 14 victims. Victims have been and continue to be transported to Broward Health Medical Center and Broward Health North. So again, this tweet coming in right now from the Broward Sheriff's Office confirming that as of now, they can confirm 14 victims, some taken to Broward Health Medical Center, others taken to Broward Health North Hospital. And from what we were hearing from the superintendent, the shooter was a former student, and he also confirmed multiple fatalities. How many? We don't have that number, but we know 14 victims transported to these two hospitals, and we're going to work to get more information. We're going to keep checking social media and, of course, keep listening in to the superintendent who is speaking.
And Janice, one note on Broward County, because of this, the seriousness of this incident, all Broward County athletic events and activities are canceled today, not just in Coral Springs or Parkland, but all the way through the entire Broward County school system. No athletic events or activities after school today.
Let's go down to our Ross Palumbo, who is standing by live for us. We heard from the president directly from a tweet, and he's also spoken with Governor Rick Scott. What's the latest now, Ross, from D.C.?
Well, Larry and Calvin actually managed to catch up with Sarah Sanders once again in a hallway just a few minutes ago. We're the only station that was able to get some comment from her. Take a listen.
Do you have any words for the people of Florida?
The president's put out a statement. We're continuing to monitor the situation.
And the president's in touch with the local authorities right now?
Yes, he is. And he's spoken with Governor Scott. The secretary has spoken with Governor Scott. We're going to continue to stay in touch with state and local law.
Of course, the secretary she's referring to there is the Homeland Security Secretary, Kristen Nielsen. She is keeping tabs on this right now. And we've also gotten word from Senator Bill Nelson. He is saying that his prayers, of course, are with the family members there. He's in close contact with the FBI to make sure that the authorities there have every single thing they need. And Lauren Calvin, just to reiterate, the president putting out a trumpet bears reading one more time. He writes, "My prayers and condolences to the families of the victims of the terrible Florida shooting. No child, teacher, or anyone else should ever feel unsafe in an American school." We do know that the president is being briefed minute by minute. We also know that the president, of course, is going to be heading to Florida coming up on Friday. We're waiting to hear at this point whether the president will be going down there any earlier. As soon as we get more information on that, we'll get it right out to you. But the White House here paying close attention to exactly what is happening right there in South Florida, minute by minute, and offering any help that they can. Send it back to you for now.
Ross Palumbo right there at the White House. Thanks so much for bringing us that. It's good to know that the governor is in touch with the president, and if there are any other resources needed, they will be on the way.
And again, the Broward sheriff telling us now that the shooter is now in custody. And what you're looking at live is, I believe, the person who is somehow also connected to the shooting in that transport vehicle that's being escorted by police, likely to a hospital for treatment and then for questioning.
And right now in Broward County, all athletic and after-school activities have been canceled. The entire county is canceling that so they can focus on this crisis. Superintendent Robert Runcie confirming that there are multiple fatalities after a shooting by a former student at Stoneman Douglas High School.
And we do know that the victims were taken to both Broward Health Medical Center and Broward Health North, where they are being treated. And as you can imagine, the parents are very distraught as they continue to show up and try to find out exactly where their children are. They've probably been in touch with them via cell phone, and police have told them, obviously, to stay in place until the building has been cleared, their school has been cleared, but many have been showing up, and they are now being told to go to a local area, to a nearby park, Betty Stradling Park, near the Marriott at the Heron Bay Marriott there. So keep that in mind as you continue to watch the situation unfold. Maybe you're watching on the app, the Local 10 app, or you're possibly listening in some sort of way in your home. But if you are, understand that the children who have been evacuated and are being released from the high school need to go to the Marriott at the Heron Bay Marriott in Parkland.
And look at that scene on the left side. We have two choppers up in the air to bring you both developing scenes. As you see the police SWAT trailers there set up but we just saw a line of students. Imagine with 3,000 students needing to be cleared from this school. We could see them there. You see them on the top left of your screen. Look at that line of students all heading out toward the Heron Bay Marriott. I mean, it is just a crisis today. Just such a sad, sad day at this school.
And not only is this an area where police are trying to clear, think about this. This school is now a crime scene. I received a message from a teacher as she was being evacuated. She saw 2 bodies on the ground on their way out of the school. And so now police have the grim task of going into the school, identifying whomever these people are who were shot by this person. The why, of course, is down the road, but at this point, they're still working to figure out what happened. And just, you're right, look at the crowd on the left-hand side of your screen. So many people converging on this area, trying to get as much information as they can at this point.
And even to hear that get a text at least, to know that your child is safe, but to know that they can't communicate with you beyond texting, it is very, very frustrating and very scary and very tense tonight for so many parents watching us from home and also there on the scene trying to get any information.
Yeah, we know the hospitals have treated at least 14 victims who have been taken to the hospital, to Broward Health Medical Center and Broward Health North Hospital. So, but according to the superintendent, as you just mentioned, Lori, that there are multiple fatalities, and this is something obviously that the worst possible news that we could hear from this. We have been reporting 1 confirmed death, but again, the superintendent telling us multiple fatalities as a result of the shooting. So the questions of why would this happen, and who may have known something, what did they know, when did they know it, but most importantly, why would anyone want to do this on this day?
All we know is that he was a former student at Stoneman Douglas High School. The superintendent knows who he is, obviously. We are waiting to be able to confirm that for you any moment now. And as soon as we can get you the name of this shooting suspect today, we will pass that along to you. But right now, we just know that there are 14 victims. We don't know how many fatalities.
So it sounds like that the person in Burgundy, we were going back and forth trying to figure out who he was. Initially, we had gotten reports that that may have been the suspect. Then we were hearing that that was possibly somebody connected to the shooting. Now we're hearing from our law enforcement sources again that that boy in Burgundy may actually have been the shooter. So we're still waiting to confirm that.
As you look to the left of your screen, you can see that this is so chaotic for so many people who are out there right now. SWAT team out there, BSO. As you can imagine, they put out a bolo too for a while there because the suspect was at large. Right now, as we know, the suspect is in custody. But you can see there that so many parents showed up after hearing this, getting phone calls, as you can imagine, from their children who were afraid and frightened to be in that building.
And we were talking about sort of an awful sign of the times that kids have to go through this active shooter training. We're just getting a message from a parent saying just 2 weeks ago, BSO SWAT did a training active shooter situation at that school. Yeah,
to know that it's happening at an American high school. I mean, we, again, of all high schools, this high school in Parkland, but on the right of your screen, you're seeing one person being taken or possibly multiple people being taken to the hospital, but on the left side of your screen, you can see from a 30,000-foot view or just a 10,000-foot view, you can see just a sea of people out there who were evacuated from that school, and they're just wondering what happened today. How could this happen? And so many emotions are going through them, along with the parents.
The question is now, what happens tomorrow? What happens later on today? This is going to be a crime scene for some time, especially if there are victims who are inside of that school. Police have to identify them. They have to go through every inch of this school to trace the shooter's steps to find out what the shooter was doing. What sort of weapon did the shooter use? How did the shooter get into the school? There are a lot of questions. So what are these kids going to do tomorrow and the next day?
In other words, a place of where you're supposed to learn has been transformed into an active crime scene. I mean, and for possibly days to come.
And this is a year after Hurricane Irma. The kids have missed a lot of school already, and this is going to be a real task for Broward County Superintendent Robert Runcie to hold this school together and to hold the system together throughout this crisis time.
Police have a tough time because we were hearing reports that yesterday, possibly, there were threats that were made online and via social media. Police have the tough task of ferreting out what's an actual threat and what's a kid making a joke online. They have to take everything seriously. And at this point, if there were any threats that came about yesterday, well, it seems like now at least some sense of violence was carried out. And again, this is video on the right-hand side of your screen. That person in Burgundy is now in custody.
So many kids describe this scene, just hearing this. Someone thought to pull the fire alarm. They did everything they could and what they've been told to do. They certainly took cover. Others just ran. So many say the sounds seem to come from the freshman building, which we will learn more about as time goes on. And as you look on the left of your screen under those red tents there, that is where the triage unit was first set up, where we saw one victim taken. We saw another who was conscious being taken into an ambulance. But just a few moments ago, we saw a victim taken to the hospital, and they were actively doing CPR on him, trying to get him to breathe, him or her. And we will pass along any information as we get it.
Law enforcement from all over Broward County has converged on this. We have BSO, Margate Fire Rescue, Coral Springs Fire Rescue, as well as police department. And as we've heard from our own Carlos Suarez, the FBI is there now as well, because this is now part of a federal investigation. And as we have also learned that the governor, Rick Scott, we understand he is making his way now to Broward County. So we'll hear from him and to see what sort of state resources will now be used in this.
Well, we know the governor is on his way, and we also know that the president has already weighed in on this via Twitter. His comments basically saying that his thoughts and prayers and condolences are with the families of the victims. As we know, there are at least 14 of them. And he says no person should feel unsafe in an American high school, and boy, do we agree. On the left side of your screen, one person or multiple people may be transported there to one of the two hospitals that has been taking care of the victims of the shooting, Broward Health North and Broward Health Medical Center. Both have been treating the victims. We understand that there are multiple fatalities, according to the superintendent of Broward County Schools, Robert Runcie. That is the worst possible news, because initially we heard that there were mass casualties as a result of the shooting this afternoon at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland. And it has turned out to be true. We know at least one confirmed death. We don't know if the person is a teacher or if the person is a student. But no matter what, this is a major tragedy and an American nightmare playing out right in our own backyard. We are so used to talking about this happening in so many other cities and so many other places. I think the most definitive school tragedy might be the Columbine High School shooting. But I think there have been so many since then that for some people it may seem sort of normal. For us, this is always an anomaly. And again, when it plays out in your own backyard, it hurts even more, knowing that we're all so connected in this community. And it's likely these people obviously are going to be hurting for a very long time.
Carlos Suarez has been right there for us over the last hour. We want to hook up with him right now as he speaks with more and more parents on any information they're hearing from texts with their children. Carlos, what are you learning? Carlos, are you able to hear us right now?
You guys, can you see and hear me? We're just having...
Yes, we can. We can hear you.
Hear and see me.
We will be able to see you in just a moment, Carlos.
Great.
So
we were just running.
Go right ahead. We can hear you.
You guys hear?
Yes, we've got you now. Yes.
Okay, great. So right now, right now this is what's playing out just south of the school here. We are being told that these Broward County School District buses will soon be making their way to this part of where all of this is unfolding. These buses, along with a couple of other county buses where some of the students are being housed right now, they're going to be put on these buses, and then these buses, we're told, will be taking these students to a hotel to the south of this high school. Bear with me so I can get you the correct address. The students, we're told, will be taken to a Marriott that's located at 11775 Heron Bay Boulevard. That address, again, is 11775 Heron Byron Bay Boulevard. A number of sheriff deputies have been telling parents that are still here to please make their way to that hotel because that's where they will be reunited with their kids. A lot of the folks that are on the other side of where we are right now are still trying to get a hold of their sons and daughters. A lot of them have been trying for the better part of an hour to get a hold of them either by text message or by phone call, but they have not been able to. In fact, this group here that's in front of the sheriff deputies, these are county bus drivers. We're told these bus drivers will eventually take over the line of yellow buses that will be brought to this location. We are over the overpass, or under the overpass rather, to the Sawgrass Expressway. Two other pieces of information to pass along. We're told that the Broward Sheriff will be giving us a briefing at some point this afternoon. We're told he will make his way to this location and he will have a news conference. Broward County Mayor Barbara Sharif is also here. She arrived a few minutes ago. We tried to catch up with her. She told us to give her a few minutes because she was trying to get some last-minute information before she made her way to this location. Again, right now, the situation on this part of where things are unfolding, you can see this is one parent who's still trying to get some information out here. The sheriff's office are trying to basically put the parents all on one side of the overpass. They're trying to answer as many questions as possible. Unfortunately, they don't have a list, so to speak, of the students that have been accounted for. We talked to a couple of parents who said that they were able to get a hold of their daughters and sons, and they said that they had already been checked out by teachers and administrators at the school, and that they would soon be boarding buses, and that these buses would then take them to the hotel where they're going to be reunited with. But right now we are waiting on the Broward Sheriff as well as the Mayor of Broward County to give us an updated information on all of this. The minute we get any more of that, we'll make sure to pass it along. But right now, at least here, so to speak, an update? 15 to 20 minutes. All right, so we're being told that the Broward Sheriff will come out to this location here. He's going to give an update on all the information that he has in 15 to 20 minutes. However, parents are being told your kids will not be reunited with you at this location. They have to go to a hotel just south of Wiles Road. We've got that information, of course, on the website as well as our Twitter and Facebook page for folks that are still trying to figure out exactly where they're going to go meet up with their sons and daughters. Calvin and Lori?
And Carlos, what's been sort of the reaction that you've seen and heard from parents out there where you are?
You know, the biggest frustration from parents has been a lack of information, and a lot of that they understand is just that this is unfolding as it was happening. A lot of folks were frustrated because they weren't being told exactly where the shooting had taken place in relation to the campus. We had heard that it took part in the freshman side of the building, but they were unable to confirm whether or not their kids had been accounted for or not. A big part of that, the reasoning that they were told was that a lot of the classrooms just went on lockdown the minute that all of this happened. We had an interview earlier this afternoon where one student talked about how initially it was that someone had pulled the fire alarm. And so a lot of these, the fire alarm goes off, and we're told that a lot of these students then made their way outside the classroom. It's at that point, shortly thereafter, that the first shots were fired, and then it became a matter of getting all of these students that were outside of the classroom, getting them back inside. As you know, lockdown procedures are frequent. A lot of the times, a lot of these schools practice them for exactly scenarios like this. And when a lockdown goes into effect, there is no entering or leaving a classroom. There is no communication between that classroom necessarily and an administrative side of things. Teachers are told to close the windows, bring the shutters down, to lock their doors, and it's not until a lot of these kids were able to get a hold of their parents that they were able to send them text messages saying, hey, listen, I'm in class right now, I'm safe, I don't necessarily know what's going on, but just so that you guys know, we're okay, we're being told to stay put where we are. There was one gentleman that we spoke to who said his daughter was in a classroom next door where it's believed that this shooting had taken place. She immediately sent herself a photo to her father so that when, if a deputy spotted her, then maybe he thought that might be able to help pinpointing where she was at. The good news in relation to that is that they were able to tell him that his daughter was fine. There hasn't been one parent, thankfully, that we have talked to that has not necessarily been able to get a hold of their kids. A lot of them are still having trouble, so to speak, but they've either heard from a friend or they've heard from a parent whose kid is in that same class, so they've all felt confident enough that their son or daughter is doing just fine. A lot of the parents, the frustration is, right, they were told you got to leave your car here. They tried to get as close as possible to the school, and now they're being told you're not going to be reunited with your son or daughter here. You've got to make your way to a hotel. hotel just south of here, just south of Wiles Road.
All right. Our Carlos Juarez on the scene for us there, and the takeaway from that is 11775 Heron Bay Boulevard, south of Wiles Road. Go to that Marriott to be reunited with your child. And I do want to say one quick thing here. According to the Associated Press, we haven't heard from him directly, but Robert Runcie says, quote, "There are numerous fatalities. It is an horrific situation." And he went on to say, "It is a horrible day for us." The words of Robert Runcie, the superintendent of Broward County Schools.
We believe in this ambulance, the fire rescue vehicle you're looking at there is the actual shooting suspect. He is being taken to Broward Health North. We have crews right there when he arrives for medical treatment as we are working to confirm his name. We do know only from Superintendent Robert Runcie that he is a former student at this high school. What could have motivated him to go into his former high school with guns drawn is just hard to even fathom. But all of these details will unravel in the coming minutes and hours.
Yes, 15 to 20 minutes is what we're supposed to hear, some sort of briefing from the Sheriff Scott Israel, according to Carlos.
That, right about 5 o'clock p.m. Yes. And Janine, you're still watching social media for us, and these comments from the teachers are just hard to hear.
Well, comments from teachers who were inside listening to all of this, waiting to be evacuated by police, and one teacher saying that she saw 2 bodies with tarps covering them inside the school. It is tough to hear. It is tough to talk about. The person who's inside this ambulance right now being taken to Broward Health North will be treated, and then likely police are going to at least try to talk to him to figure out what unfolded. And again, you're looking at ground pictures right now, I think on the left-hand side of your screen, because this ambulance has a police escort, and there it is. It's rounding the bend right now, and it is on its way to Broward Health North.
And we believe our Leanne Modajon is there live and waiting on the arrival of what we believe to be the suspect in this ambulance here. And Leanne, can you give us an update of the situation and mood out there?
Yeah, guys, we can hear you, and as you can see, that is the Pompano Beach Fire Rescue Unit 252 that just passed by. We have our camera trained on that fire rescue unit. You can see Broward Sheriff units are closely following it. We know that, as you've seen from the aerial pictures, they've been following this rescue unit all the way from where it originated, closing off streets along the way. They actually moved us further back here. We are, of course, in the emergency bay at Broward Health North, and we were a little bit closer to that emergency entrance, and in preparation for the arrival of this rescue unit, we were pushed further back from the entrance. So as you can see there, a Pompano Beach Fire Rescue Unit now parking with its lights flashing, I should say. And inside, of course, is the person who we did see through Sky 10. And we apologize for the nature of we know that the shot's a little shaky, but we're trying to do our best to get to where we need to be to give you the best vantage point so that you can see exactly what's going on. So bear with the breaking news, bear with the nature of these pictures, but there the rear of the rescue unit is now open, and in just a short time they will be wheeling out the person who was taken into custody, the person who Broward Sheriff had put out a be on the lookout for, and then later was seen being taken into police custody. And so there you can see all of those deputies with the Broward Sheriff's Office gathered right there in the rear of that rescue unit. They will be pulling out the stretcher with that person on the back and then taking them into the hospital. As far as what their possible injuries are, that's still unclear. Again, we're just moving here so that we can get you the best angle and so that you can see exactly what's going on. But that is the situation. Again, we know that Broward Sheriff's deputies have been following this from the very beginning, closing off the streets, escorting this fire rescue unit as it has made its way here to Broward Health North. It's been very active. We know like a possible parent or a friend or someone like that. We did not observe that. Again, of course, there are other entrances to the hospital that may have used. No doubt if someone is at the hospital, of course, those that are concerned about them would rush to their bedside. But at this point, we know that, at least from where I was, we did not observe anything like that. What we saw were Broward Sheriff's deputies preparing. A lot of them arrived, some of them on motorcycles, some of them in their regular police units, and they did park just so that they had made sure that they could keep a clearance so that they could have a clear entrance for these fire rescue units to make their way inside of the hospital and to get the access that they need quickly.
And Leanne, we will be hearing from Broward Sheriff Scott Israel any moment, in about 10 minutes, we're told. So we will finally be able to piece some of this together. But obviously some of the victims, they couldn't even get them to the hospital fast enough. They decided to set up the triage units right there at the school.
Right, yeah, and we saw those from the aerial views, those red tarps that were laid out on the ground so that they could bring people and assess them and, give them the care that they need on the spot, and as well assess the severity of their injuries and decide who needs to be taken to the hospital, the closest hospital, which one, and how urgently. So, of course, again, these are live pictures. We are live at Broward Health North, where this ambulance, this Pompano Fire Rescue Unit, was carrying the suspect, a person who was taken into custody in connection with this just horrifying shooting taking place at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, and a school with so many students, so many people who either witnessed the carnage in action, so many who, as you were all mentioning, were fleeing the school and observed classmates, maybe even people that they knew. And we don't know exactly who the victims are yet, but of course, exiting school and observing people that may have been injured.
That's right. Leanne, thank you so much. We'll check back in with you very shortly. And we do want to make one correction here that that the area where, the staging area where you can go and pick up your child, if in fact you're still waiting to be reunited with your child, is at the Marriott at 11775 Heron Bay Boulevard. That is north of Wiles Road. North of Wiles Road. We were reporting south of Wiles Road, but it is north of Wiles Road at 11775 Heron Bay Boulevard. This won't be a problem if you have Google Maps on your phone.
And we want to warn you right now. We want to share with you some video that is going viral. It's out there on Snapchat, and so many of the kids are looking at this right now. So we want to share it with you. This is actual video inside a classroom as the gunshots were going off inside Stoneman Douglas High.
And we are going to pause for just a moment because this is more a video that is not so much visual as it is auditory. So we do want to let you listen in and see and also hear what we have seen on Snapchat. So take a look.
Oh my God!
And we do not run this for any sensational purpose, but just to give you an idea of what was happening inside Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School this afternoon when the gunman opened fire clearly inside one of the classrooms. But again, now you can see they're so traumatic for those students.
We're watching this along with you for the first time. If you are just seeing this video for the first time and hearing it, this is from the perspective of somebody inside of a classroom listening to those gunshots and listening to classmates screaming in terror.
Yeah.
They are hiding for cover, trying to take cover. I mean, where else do you go? Where else do you go but under a table there, and just feeling so trapped? And when you hear those sounds, you know those kids knew darn well there is nothing else that would sound like that.
Yeah. Numerous fatalities were being told by the superintendent, and in his words of Robert Runcie, it is a horrible day for us, and so true for us all. As you can still see the scene still playing out right in front of the high school there. First responders on the scene, SWAT team was there, but we do know that a suspect is now in custody, possibly as many as 2 people who may be in custody, but we don't know if the suspect was working alone or if he had help in some sort of way.
And at last check, 14 victims have been taken to the hospital. We also are at the Marriott now, where parents are being told to meet with their children, the children who were evacuated from the school. That's the Marriott on your left-hand side of the screen that people have been told to go to.
And if you live in that Coral Springs, Parkland area, you know exactly where it is there, the Heron Bay Marriott. Marriott, and right there next to as part of the huge Heron Bay community, huge parking lots there. It will be a safe, large area where you can get easy parking and finally get with your child or children.
An epicenter of emotion, as you can imagine. If your child does not have a cell phone, rare nowadays, but if your child does not have a cell phone, you have not heard from your child, you've been seeing these reports, you've been watching it, it's on every major news network at this point, all over social media, and then the video we just showed you. If you have not been in contact with your child, I can only imagine when you're able to reach him or her, the emotion that's going to be pouring from the both of you.
Nikki Mohan is one of our many crews out there live. Let's join in with her right now. She has been working several of these scenes. Nikki, tell us where you are.
Lori, I'm at Coral Ridge Drive and Wyndham Lakes Boulevard South in this community behind me where you can see police still have it blocked off to many residents. This is the neighborhood where they believe that possible suspect was taken into custody. In fact, one of the residents was coming home and he shot this video, if we can cue the video up for us, of them taking down this young person, matching the description and wearing the clothes that we've heard them looking for the afternoon, and taking him into custody. He said he did not appear injured, but police surrounded this young man, and they had him on the ground and then put him in a support vehicle, and then he left the scene. We were moved back from the scene shortly thereafter, but we do believe, according to some of these residents and sources that we have, that this may be the neighborhood that suspect lives in. And so we're waiting to get more confirmation from police, but again, residents here shocked and horror coming home to see this scene, and of course also reacting to news of a high school that many of their kids go to or their kids have gone to, that is their neighborhood school. So again, residents here in this neighborhood coming home to quite a horrific scene this evening, and still, of course, like everyone else, wondering what happened and how could this happen here. But again, this was the neighborhood, residents here shooting video of police taking that young person, a young man, into custody, believed to be the possible suspect in today's shooting. But again, we are waiting for more confirmation of that. But again, residents here just shaking their head that anything like this will happen. We, of course, will stay here on the scene in Coral Springs and bring you the very latest as we get it. Actually, right now, Broward County Sheriff Scott Israel is addressing the public. Let's go to him.
Stoneman Douglas High School, it's one of the biggest schools in Broward County. It's huge. It's a huge campus. So we have multiple SWAT teams clearing every building to make sure that there are no other shooters. We have a shooter in custody. He was taken into custody, I believe, about an hour after he left Stoneman Douglas, after he committed this horrific, homicidal, detestable act. The FBI and our crime scene people will begin processing this horrific scene as soon as the buildings are cleared. Right now, the buildings are not safe to be cleared. We're asking that you put out on the news ASAP that any parent who's looking for their child to please go immediately to the Marriott within the Heron Bay complex. Our deputies and other police officers are transporting these young students over to Heron Bay to be reunited with their parents. So that's where we want parents to go. I want to thank Mayor Beam, Commissioner Sharif, and Mr. Runcie for being here to support the Broward Sheriff's Office and to be with me at this terrible time. Last thing I want to say is this is a terrible day for Parkland, Broward County, the state of Florida, and the United States. My very own triplets went to that school and graduated from Stoneman Douglas. They play football and lacrosse at that school. So it's just catastrophic. There really are no words, and we will keep you updated. I have spoken to Governor Scott. He's out of state. He is on his way over here. I have spoken to President Trump, and he's offered the full power of the United States of America to help us get through this. Any questions? I can't hear you. He was found off campus. I don't exactly know where. I believe he was found in the city of Coral Springs by a Coconut Creek police officer. So that's unconfirmed right now. There's so much
Can you give us an
information.
age range of those,
I
those
can't.
deceased?
From what I understand, there was a time where he did attend the school. I don't know why he left. I don't know when he left.
But he was not a current student.
That is correct. He was not a
When
current
he was
student.
arrested, was there any confrontation between him and police? Did he open fire?
I wasn't there, but I was told that there was no confrontation. He was, can you hear me? Yeah. He was taken into arrest without incident.
Do you have anyone else in custody? Our understanding is
No.
it was two. Just one. Okay, do you have an age on him?
I believe he's approximately 18 years old.
Okay, and then at least one dead?
Multiple.
Multiple, so more than one.
And you said the school's not safe right now. There's still children inside. And what have you heard?
Well, I don't know. We believe at this point that all children that we know about are cleared and are outside the building. However, we don't know if there are injured people. We don't know if there are people hiding. We don't know. So we will not begin to release information or begin to open up the crime scene until the SWAT components say the school is safe and clear. When I hear all clear, we'll begin the next phase of this investigation. I have no
We
idea.
heard of Mr. Beagle.
No,
Injuries, approximately how many?
well, I don't know how many injuries there were, but we know 14 people were transported to area hospitals with varying degrees of wounds. What we'll do is we'll wait for the school to be cleared. We'll go on to the next phase. I know this is critically important, release information to Broward County, and we will keep you up to date. But for right now, there's no more information to inquire.
Can you talk about where the shooter was? Was he inside the school? We heard, and I know there's a lot of rumors, that at one point there were firecrackers and then it was a drive-by with a shooter inside the school on
He was
campus.
outside and inside at varying times. He certainly was inside. Thank you.
In terms of those dead, have their families been notified? Have all the families been notified?
Broward Sheriff Scott Israel addressing the media right there, surrounded by Superintendent Robert Runcie. The sheriff adding some new information there that the shooter was shooting outside and inside at the school. He will only say that 14 victims were transported to area hospitals, but we know from Superintendent Runcie that there have been multiple fatalities.
Yeah, and I think it's important to sort of give the very latest in terms of what he felt was important as for the school. Right now, SWAT is still inside the school trying to clear every room. This is such a big campus. Scott Israel talked about how this is one of the largest high school campuses, not only in Broward County, but also in the state. So with that being said, they're trying to clear every room. So we don't know how many people may be hurt, how many people may still be in hiding. So right now they're still trying to clear every possible room. And when that happens, they're able to go inside what he's calling a crime scene, which is the high school, so they can go inside and try to see who might have been hurt and who might still be inside.
And the sheriff also shining a little bit of light on who this suspect might be. About 18 years old, at one point may have attended this school. Why that person does not go to the school anymore. Did he graduate from the school? But he is not a current student at Marjorie Douglas Stoneman High School. But today he came to the school, and what he did, according to the sheriff, was, quote, catastrophic.
Yeah, and detestable and homicidal.
And so odd that his own triplets all went to this school. I mean, this is considered one of the best schools around, the kind of school that people move to the area to attend. And it just adds to the shock value that this would happen at Stoneman Douglas High. But
So-
as we see, it can happen anywhere.
So the timing of all of this comes at the top of the hour here. You're watching Local 10 News at 5 o'clock as we give you the very latest of what's happening at the school shooting in Parkland at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. We just heard from Scott Israel, the sheriff of Broward County. He says the suspect is in custody. The lone shooter, we understand, is in custody, 18 years old, used to attend the high school. And as of right now, he was captured somewhere near, he says, the high school, we believe southwest of the high school in Coral Springs at the address we have been showing you. But also we showed you, too, that the suspect was being transported to a local hospital.
And the sheriff also saying that for students and for parents to meet at that Marriott, because at this point, everybody who's been cleared from the school is now being taken to that Marriott, which is the safest place off location where parents can pick up their kids.
You know, that huge hotel on the Heron Bay property. Head to that area so you can be reunited with your children, get home safely tonight so officials can work the scene that they still need to clear. 14 people have been transported to area hospitals. varying degrees of wounds, and we do know from the superintendent that there are several fatalities.
In the words of the sheriff, a terrible day for Parkland, a terrible day for Broward County, for the state of Florida, and for the United States of America. President Trump giving the full resources of the federal government to make sure that this situation is processed correctly and everything goes as smoothly as possible. But as of right now, it's going to be a very tough day and some tough nights ahead for the parents and obviously for those young students, because innocence was certainly lost this afternoon when the gunshots rang out inside those classrooms.
It really was. And if you have small children, we ask you to maybe take them away from the screen right now, but we want to share with you just a little snippet from Snapchat that all the high school kids are watching right now. In this day of social media, this video is already out there. It gives you a sense of what the students heard as they were crouched down trying to stay safe at Stoneman Douglas High this afternoon.
Holy. Oh my God! Holy.
This is the video that's on an endless loop on Snapchat that kids are sharing with each other and are watching, and so we wanted to share it with the people who are watching just to give them an idea of what was happening inside this high school, but for no other purpose, just to sort of reemphasize the gravity of the moment. This is not something we're going to continue to show over and over. We get no gratification from showing that. Certainly it hurts all of us when a high school like this, especially in our own backyard, has a tragedy happen such as this. And you can see the scene to the right of your screen there that is still playing out as of right now. SWAT team still on the scene trying to clear every room to make sure there were no injuries inside the building when people were running frantically when they heard those gunshots, but also to try to clear the building, and that's going to take a while.
And what strikes me from that video is the number of gunshots that you hear. Yeah. So many students described 2, 3, maybe 5 gunshots, but right there you hear at least 14, 16 or beyond gunshots. And we know that 14 people
You're trapped
were
in the
hurt.
classroom. There's nothing you can do. You talked about running under a desk or a table, but you're trapped inside a classroom. You cannot run out. There is no escaping this.
And keep in mind, too, this was the end of the school day, but most students were still at school. Students, teachers, administrators. When you see the parking lot, it was full. Yeah. And so at that point, all teachers could do were lock the doors, keep their kids safe. I was receiving messages from teachers who were holed up in their classrooms telling the kids to be quiet, and if they were to contact their parents, not to use the phone, but to communicate with them via text message, and to try to be as quiet as possible until SWAT team members could go inside those classrooms and evacuate those kids classroom by classroom. The sheriff said he's pretty sure that all classrooms have been evacuated, but he also said there's the possibility that maybe some kids or teachers are hiding. They don't want to take any chances. It is still a very active situation there.
No doubt.
Well, we heard some people hiding in closets, so you can only imagine, too, that, they have to check every possible room in one of the largest high schools, not only in Broward County, but in South Florida.
And imagine how tense, not only if you heard those gunshots that clearly, but also if you're locked in a room and all you can do is text and the teachers are telling you to be quiet, not to make a sound. You don't want to bring any attention to your room and you just don't know what is happening. And to think that all of our kids have to be trained for this these days and have to witness this is just beyond description. It is a very, very sad day in Broward County, as the sheriff says, also for the state and for the country. And all eyes right now are on South Florida and this crisis situation at a huge high school in Parkland.
And as we talked about, you're watching Local 10 News at 5 o'clock, so we have reporters fanned out all across South Florida to monitor the situation, to get every possible angle as the story continues to develop. At every possible minute here, we have Amy Viteri, who is live now in what we believe to be Coral Ridge, with some information for us at this hour. Amy.
Well, Calvin, we're on Coral Ridge Drive, right near the exit ramp for the Sawgrass Expressway. You can see behind me there are dozens of cars parked here along the sides of the road and a huge police presence trying to help direct traffic. We are seeing, even though this isn't an official area for the parents to gather, we're seeing people parking their cars anywhere they can, trying to get as close to the school and, of course, to their children as possible. And since we've been out here, we've been speaking with parents who have been able to locate their children, many of them walking by in relief, hugging some of those kids on the phone with their parents as they've been able to get out here. And I can tell you, as you have been mentioning what we know, 14 people confirmed to have been transported to the hospital, but apparently it seems there could be many more who are injured. And of course, we still don't have the number on how many people have lost their lives, but just talking to some of these students, they described the chaotic moments. They say it was a fire alarm that first alerted them to the fact that something was wrong, but they say they've been having fire drills. So according to several students we spoke with, they didn't know anything was wrong initially. It wasn't until they heard those shots being fired, and then they say teachers and staff members just started telling some of them, depending where they were, to run, especially as it seemed like some of those shots were getting closer. So we heard heroic stories from students telling us that they helped their fellow students over the fence to try to get out of the property off of the school area. And even still, as we're standing here, we are seeing cars going by trying to get to the area where that school is. So again, we're sending back some of those interviews that we've gathered, and we're going to be putting some of that together for you so you can hear directly from those students themselves about the frightening experience they had out here.
And Amy, before you go, we saw your emails that you have spoken with someone who may have known the shooter. So just based on the information that you have, we certainly don't want to give unconfirmed information, but based on what you've heard, what did this person have to say?
Well, you know, of course, we're still working to confirm the name that we're hearing for who this suspect could be, but students are hearing names as well, and one in particular, and the student that we spoke with, who is a member of the ROTC here at the high school, says that he knows the person, one of the names that he has heard circulated. He's familiar with that person, and that person is no longer a student here that he was. He actually knew him because he was a former neighbor, described him as a quiet person, but he said that person is not currently a student at the high school. So we are following up to see what more we can learn about that name. And in the meantime, I want to let you listen to one student that we spoke with who described just the chaotic moments as he was trying to get out of the school after he heard those shots.